All right, let's dive right into this explainer. If you've ever wondered how a few incredibly simple ingredients can transform into a deeply revered, perfectly crispy, traditional offering, well, you are in the exact right place. Today we're exploring the strict culinary techniques and the deep cultural roots behind the authentic Thekua. We're going to unpack the exact measurements, the specific traditional tools, and the absolute non-negotiable rules that govern this fascinating process.
There's a saying you'll hear a lot. Chet Puja is incomplete without Thekua. And honestly, that profound sentiment perfectly captures why this isn't just a recipe. It's the very heartbeat of a massive festival, celebrated across Bihar, Jharkhand, and UP. Thekua is far more than just a sweet snack. It's the ultimate symbol of devotion. You simply cannot separate the festival from this specific offering. It literally defines the taste and aroma of the entire celebration.
Chet Puja's essential prasad. Let's start by understanding the spiritual environment and the intense reverence that surrounds the preparation of this sacred offering.
4. That's exactly how many days this Mahaparv, this great festival dedicated to the sun god, lasts. And during this period, absolute purity and strict traditional methods are paramount. It's a time of immense faith, and the food prepared reflects that, right? There are absolutely no shortcuts taken here. The process is deliberate, sacred, and steeped in generations of tradition.
Look at this comparison between authentic prasad and everyday eating, because it brilliantly illustrates the strict rules at play here. While your everyday cooking might allow for refined flour, standard cooking oil, or processed white sugar, the authentic prasad strictly demands coarse wheat, pure jaggery, and unadulterated ghee. There is absolutely no room for semolina or all-purpose flour when you're making the true, authentic Thekua for the festival.
The authentic ingredients. Now, let's actually head into the kitchen and see exactly what goes into creating the perfect, traditional half-kilo batch. So here are the undeniable golden rules for our ingredients. Notice the precision here. For exactly 500 grams of coarse wheat flour, which is what gives it that beautifully rustic texture, you need exactly 250 grams of jaggery. And that jaggery? It has to be completely dissolved in warm water and meticulously filtered before you even think about using it, just to ensure absolute purity and smoothness in the dough.
Now what's really fascinating here is the inclusion of gari, that's traditional dry coconut, along with crushed fennel. When you hand crush those fennel seeds and mix them with the coconut, it creates this intoxicating, festive aroma that instantly signals to everyone in the house that Chhath Puja is near. You could add other dry fruits, sure, but this specific combination is your authentic baseline.
And the absolutely crucial point here is the exact measurement of ghee for a 500-gram batch, 3 tablespoons. Why so strict? Well, if you add too much ghee to the dough, your Thekua will become way too fragile and it'll completely shatter while frying. It's this incredibly delicate balance between getting a crispy texture and keeping the whole thing structurally intact. Kneading the stiff dough. Let's dive into the technical crux of the entire process, getting that dough consistency exactly right. Let's break down how to actually build this foundation. Step 1, you mix your coarse flour with the fennel, coconut, and ghee. Now you don't just dump the water in like you're making standard bread dough. For step 2, you gradually pour in that filtered jaggery water. And step 3, you continuously rub and gather the mixture together. You're doing this very, very slowly to maintain ultimate control over the moisture levels.
I literally cannot emphasize this enough. The dough must be extremely stiff. If you accidentally add a splash too much water and make the dough wet or soft, you'll completely lose that iconic, crispy kasta texture that defines a perfect Thekua. If you feel like it's holding together, you've got to stop adding the jaggery water immediately.
Shaping the perfect Thekua. Once you've successfully gathered that incredibly stiff dough, we move on to forming those beautiful traditional shapes.
Enter the sacha. This is a beautifully carved traditional wooden mold, and families rely heavily on it for this step. It's a true hallmark of the festival. By lightly greasing it with just a little bit of ghee so the dough doesn't stick, they press out these stunning traditional designs, usually round ones or these really cool long leaf-like shapes.
Now, because the dough is so wonderfully stiff, pressing it into the sacha mold practically requires a gym membership. But there are some essential shaping rules. First, break off medium-sized dough balls and apply strong physical pressure. But here's the catch. You have to ensure a consistent medium thickness. If you make them too thick, the dense centers will stay completely raw even after frying. Too thin, all those natural sugars from the jaggery will cause them to burn almost instantly.
The delicate frying process. Finally, we make it to the frying stage, which is traditionally done with an incredible amount of patience over a wood-fired clay stove.
To maintain absolute purity for the sun god, this prasad is exclusively and purely fried in ghee. Never, ever standard cooking oil. While a casual batch meant just for household snacking might use oil, the sacred offering demands the richness and the absolute purity of ghee.
You cannot rush this. Step 1. Heat the ghee to a mild, low temperature. Step 2. Carefully place the shaped dough into the ghee. Now step 3 is critical. Do not flip them immediately. Because the dough has melted jaggery in it, they are incredibly delicate and soft when they first hit the heat. You have to patiently wait until they visibly firm up before you even attempt to flip them. Then step 4. Fry slowly until they're fully cooked inside. And here is a massive pro tip for you from true traditional cooks. The ghee naturally gets hotter as your first batch finishes frying. If you just drop the second batch right in, they're going to burn. You actually have to let the ghee cool down slightly to reset the temperature before adding the next round. It guarantees an even, slow fry every single time.
If you follow these strict traditional steps, the exact ghee measurements, that extremely stiff dough, the medium thickness, and the patient, low-temperature frying, you get the perfect outcome, a flawless prasad. You're looking for a deep, stunning golden brown color, a shape that doesn't break in the pan, an incredibly crispy hasta exterior, and a piece that's perfectly cooked and flavored all the way through.
So, we've walked through the exact science and the deep reverence behind the traditional method. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question. How is Thekua made in your home or your state? Do you use these exact authentic measurements, or does your family hold on to its own unique, deeply guarded regional tradition for this beloved prasad? After all, the real beauty of Thekua lies just as much in its shared history as it does in its incredible taste.